crafted now. This is a series where we give our perspective on the events, stories, and ideas shaping the world today in this time of the coronavirus. And we're going to do this through poetry, performance. And we're going to center African philosophy, history, and culture as a gift to the world to navigate our way through this crisis and into a new future. We're not going backwards, we're going forwards.
In each episode, we bring the theatrical into your home and invite you to turn into co-conspirators with us. So you get to offer something new to the pot. And in this way, we arrive at new poems and new possibilities for work that releases different stories and offers our collective perspective into the world. And mostly, we get to listen with each other together.
So, to be part of this process, to be part of this performance today, we ask that you get involved. There are times when we may ask you to turn off the lights or close your eyes. And if you have a candle and a matchbox, please go and get them now, because you're going to get a chance to create the atmosphere in your own home. Woo!
And when you come back, you'll find us drumming. Now, because many of you are coming in from the continent, many of you are likely to have a drum. So if you have a drum, could you collect that too? Or you might have a surface that you can drum on. Try this. Now, make footsteps with me. Faster. Stop.
Now, what about wind? Can you make wind like this though? Let's have some fun. And you know, Aleya and I are kind of spoiled. We're used to applause. So we will be leading you in the applause.
Oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
Bravo.
Super.
Excellent. Super. Wonderful. All right, let's get into it. Today's episode of The Narratives Are Being Crafted Now is titled COVID-19 Will Show Us Things.
That is such a Kenyanism, Aleya, isn't it?
Yes.
And Aleya and I are inviting you again to express yourselves. Don't hold back. We want you to enjoy yourself. We want you to, if you need to laugh, cry. If you want to talk to us, chat with us, be happy, be sad, share, be yourself, and share. And feel at home in your own home.
In your own home. I always laugh at that. We've rehearsed this about 4 times, and every time I just can't help. Feel at home in your own home. So I'd like to also introduce you to the wonderful Adam from Creatives Garage, who is moderating for us and is doing behind the scenes tech. By now, many of you are familiar with Zoom. But in case you aren't, there's going to be an opportunity in the middle where we will get to do some working together. And you can use the chat bar to do that. And if you want to speak, you can raise your hand and Adam will be able to unmute your microphone or help you unmute your microphone so you can talk. Now, the coolest thing is that normally in an audience, we would hear people go, hey, or 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 and we can't hear you, but we can read you. So use the chat button liberally. Talk with each other, laugh with each other. Put mshene. We will maybe not be reading it during the show, but we will come back afterwards. So make yourselves at home in the chat bar.
Now, if we have technical issues, for example, the electricity may go off, we're totally unfazed because we are ready for every eventuality. The show will go on, irregardless. We have plan A, plan B, and Corona plan.
Can I get an amen in the chat bar, please?
Amen.
Cool. So it is my great honor to introduce to you Sitawa the Third Namwlaie. I see you all amening. I see it. Thank you. Now, you know how Arundhati Roy has referred to the pandemic as a portal, a gateway between one world and the next? Perhaps, but I think that people are portals. And that's what Sitawa the Third Namwlaie is. She is this passage that connects you to worlds that she brings alive. All the ways we've been, the ways we are now, the ways we could be. Sitawa is a time traveler and a teleporter. She brings these magnificent gifts of what she's seen back to us and presents them in a way that makes whole new worlds appear. With Sitawa, all is possible. With Sitawa, all is possible. With Sitawa, all is possible. Imagine that. Anyways, you'll see what I mean.
Well, I get a chance to revenge by introducing Aleya. So the first thing I want to say is that Aleya and I have written this material fresh for you. So this is most of it is totally new, and it responding to the current situation. But let me go and tell you a little bit about Aleya. Okay, Aleya and I have been working together for about 6 years, and I've observed her. She's tender, and she believes in kindness. Who does that? And Aleya is strong. Even though she's kind, she's strong. But I'm not talking about Donald Trump strong. I'm talking about a strength that comes from being open, embracing everybody, especially those who are human like her. Her strength means that Aleya is not afraid of love and its many manifestations. If you spend a little time with her, you'll hear her talk about her family, her late grandmother, her grandfather, her mother, her father, her sister, her brother, and the latest addition to her family, Mitu, her little nephew, 18 months. And I want to tell you how delicious it is to work with Aleya, with somebody who is so kind and full of love, and she doesn't judge. Can you imagine she doesn't judge? So this means that for me, I just get to show up exactly as I am. Crazy, in some sort of funk, inspired, because all I'll get from her is kindness and love and tenderness. How can I not do my best by her? Aleya.
Thank you, Sitawa. Thank you. This show is dedicated to the hopeful ones, the ones that teach us what hope looks like in action.
The ones who wash away our despair with their courage, the young ones who invoke the spirits of our ancestors.
The ones that remind us, like Karida, long live the ungovernable spirit of Stella Nyanzi.
And Kodelwa. May all the dictators perish in our lifetime.
And Wanjiru. When we lose our fear, they lose their power.
We do this in honor of you.
You fight for our lives.
Our lives. For all the people who showed up, who show up, who show what care looks like in all its manifestations.
Shukran.
Shukran.
Shukran. COVID-19 will show us things.
COVID-19 will show us things. This Kenyanism, me, I can't wait for the day when Kenyan English becomes an option on Word. But meanwhile, COVID-19 is here with us. It is the beginning of July, our cold season in Kenya. It has started. Can you feel the old fractures and old injuries throbbing? They whisper their warning.
How do I locate the point at which we consented to committing their crimes? In February 1891, my great-grandmother watched her menstrual blood drain out into the Indian Ocean. Swirls of ribbon unfurling. She scrubbed the rags, scraped bunches of seaweed across cotton. They would never again be not pink. The salt water etched out dunes along her fingers. She was allocated 1 glass of drinking water for every day of the full moon cycle that it would take for her to sail from her home on the Indian subcontinent to my home in East Africa.
Sometime in 1860, aboard the Clotilda, there were no allocations. A person was thrown overboard. In the Atlantic Ocean, the blood is still present.
In the Indian Ocean, my great-grandmother was given an extra glass of drinking water for the last 10 days of her journey. She didn't ask, couldn't. Their blood is still there. I lay in the Swahili seas, my feet facing my great-grandmother's home. I tried to smooth down the ridges carved into my fingertips. A black and yellow striped fish pecks insistently at my ankles. It disappears, then comes back with friends. A cloud of tiny fish, spitting shadows on the sand, linger for a few minutes, then float away.
Who else is with me in the water? They were saved. The 1919 report of the Economic Commission, whose members included Delamere, stated, "The moral depravity of the Indian is equally damaging to the African, who in his natural state is at least innocent of the worst vices of the East. The Indian is the inciter of crime as well as vice, since it is the opportunity offered by the very ever-ready Indian receiver which makes thieving easy."
We believed them. We made their thieving easy. But
And still,
now, in the dusty dukkha, I stand at the counter waiting to be served. In my basket is a packet of pads and a chicken pie. The owner, a woman I've seen in my mosque since I was young, is screaming at the shop attendant for taking too long in the toilet. She calls her a mjinga.
she has learned just enough Swahili to bark orders.
She makes eye contact with me, takes a breath, and with her eyes gently, tenderly apologizes to me. And I reply, "Can I have a packet of Embassy Lights?" We consent.
How do I locate the point at which we consent to committing their crimes?
I withdraw consent. Shukran to Christina Sharp, who threw in the wake on Blackness and Being, shows me how to pay attention to the presence of history. Now this is a warning that was whispered from the mid-1840s. Lately, we've been listening to the warnings of Mekatilili Wamenza, who I was privileged to discover with Laura Ekumbo and Anne Mora when we wrote and created Brazen, in a bid to uninvisible the stories of extraordinary Kenyan women from our history. My name is Aleya Kassam.
And I am Sitawa Namwlaie.
Most people know that Mekatilili led the Giriama uprising against the colonials. But do you really understand what they were rising up against? The British showed up in the early 1900s. At this point, it wasn't even the British government. It was the Imperial British East Africa Company for a profit. Let that soak in. Mekatilili saw the British steal parts of the Sabaki River Valley, her home, which no doubt they claimed they had discovered. She saw them try to force the Giriama off their land. She saw them make the Giriama pay taxes for squatting on what they now called crown property. She saw her people forced to break their backs, tilling land stolen from them night and day, digging for rubber and sisal that just fattened the pockets of the colonizers. Hell, they even tried to ban palm wine. It enraged her that these white people were coming here and trying to replace all the Midzichenda, Chitamadunu, the Utsumu, and Chikwehu, their political culture, their economy, and their religion.
Mekatilili decided to stand up. You know, she was just an ordinary old woman like me, and she had had enough. She gathered her people using the sacred funeral Kifudhu dance.
Now
Take
drum
out your
with us.
drums. And she told them, I am not a mganga, and I have no medicine. I am not afraid to speak the truth and to fight for my people. My powers come from Kaya, rooted in the spirits of our ancestors. Giriama is for Wagiriama, and we shall not be moved. Hers was not a call to war. It was a raising of consciousness. A raising of consciousness.
She spoke beautifully. She spoke powerfully. The women joined her in saying no. And then the men followed. So the British had a rather embarrassing situation on their hands. You see, nobody showed up to work on the plantations. Nobody showed up to carry their hot bags in the hot sun. Nobody paid taxes, which we wish was kind of like now. Everybody just said no. The British did not know how to deal with all this no business. They may have ignored it, saying it wasn't worth the trouble, but this was 1913. Does anyone know what was happening in the world in 1913? Anyone know? Yes.
There was a war going on. The Great War. The British needed disposable bodies to fight their war. And what's more disposable than a black body? I ask you, what is more disposable than a black body? Mekatilili watched in horror as they began recruiting her sons into the war. She knew what it meant to lose your blood. Back in the mid-1840s, when Mekatilili was still known as Miazi wa Menza, her brother was stolen by Arab slave traders. Stolen down in the market amongst ivory and beads and knives. They pounced on her brother Kithi, and she watched her brother being dragged away, pleading and begging for freedom. She knew she would never see him again. There was no way this was going to happen again on her watch. You see, Mekatilili wasn't a little girl anymore. She was an old woman like me. When the British administrator, Arthur Champion, called for a meeting at Yakama Kwahawewanje on August 13th, 1913, Mekatilili was there. She listened to him trying to persuade local youth to join the British Army and fight their stupid war. And do you know what she did?
She walked up to him in his face with a basket in her arms. She laid the basket down with a chicken and chicks, and she said, I challenge you. Try. You just try taking away the chick from her mother hen. Can you make chicken sounds with me? Champion just laughed at this old woman and reached for the hen. The mother hen pecked at him and he pulled his hand away. Mekatilili said, if you dare take any one of our sons, that's what will happen to you. Champion, furious, shot at the mother hen. He shot the mother hen. Mekatilili walked up to him, looked him in the eye, and she slapped him. Even the shadows took a deep breath. One of Champion's men grabbed her violently and held her in place. Champion, making sure Mekatilili was watching, pulled out his gun and fired. Again and again and again.
Who knows how many were killed that day? The British had heard about the resistance before. They'd even heard about Mekatilili leading it, but because she was an old woman, they just dismissed it. But after what she did, slapping that white man in the face in front of everyone, she terrified them. And so they locked her and her partner, who happened to be her son-in-law, away in a prison in Kisii in Western Kenya. In that prison, she watched these young men, her guards, running around like they knew everything. She learned their habits, their patterns. Remember, no one ever suspects an old woman.
Some say it was a moonlit night. Others say the gods walked up to her and whispered in her ears, "It is time.
It is time.
It is time.
It is time."
Some say she ripped apart the iron bars with her bare arthritic hands. Clubbing her enemies with her bare breasts, wearing a bold yellow dress, hot sauce in her hands, screaming, "Who the hell do you think I is? Let me say that again. Who the fuck do you think I is? Love God herself. When you hurt me,
you hurt yourself.
Don't hurt yourself. When you diss me, you diss yourself.
You diss yourself.
Don't diss yourself. When you love me, you love
yourself.
Love God herself.
Whatever some say, we know that she escaped. But the escape wasn't the hardest part. Remember, she was imprisoned in Kisii in Western Kenya. And home was in Kilifi, in the coast of Kenya. And she had to walk. She followed the river Galana, which joins the river Athi to make the river Sabai, a river infested with monsters straddled by a forest full of beasts. The average person walks about 3 kilometers per hour. So even if she walked without stopping, sleeping, peeing, eating, it would still take her 9 full 24-hour days. You know what that much walking does to a body. You stop being a person. You become just a body walking. You become toenails falling. You become blisters bubbling, joints swelling, fat melting, mouth drying, muscles aching, heart pulsing, heart pounding, heart breaking. Nobody.
Yet, she continued. For over 1,000 kilometers, she kept walking until she was home.
The spiritual leaders she had recruited, the Gohu, had continued leading the people. When she came back, she found that her people had not stopped resisting, despite the increasingly brutal British attempts to quell them. Imagine, the British even tried to impose a fake treaty. And then they told the Giriama they had to pay a fine for resisting British rule, 10,000 rupees, or 3,300 goats.
The Giriama refused.
And the British retaliated.
They set flame to homes and granaries.
They destroyed the sacred shrine of Kaya Fungo.
They massacred 600 people.
Then they burnt the dead Giriama bodies in the same fire as sheep and goats.
And they arrested Mekatilili again, this time branding her a witch and locking her up in Kismayu.
But the spark she had lit continued.
So when they imprisoned her again, Mekatilili escaped again.
When she returned home, she found out she had sparked a revolution.
Mekatilili Wamenza. You know, Sitawa performed the story of Mekatilili in the very first staging of Brazen. And in that Kenya National Theatre, the spirit of Mekatilili was with us.
Absolutely. And it is this story of Mekatilili that inspired me to write this next poem. Yeah? So in this next poem, we're going to take you on a journey to another place, to the kingdom of Congo. And we're going to listen to the whispers of another warning, this time in an earlier century.
I'd like to invite you to turn off the lights or close your eyes if that makes you feel comfortable. And now, listen with your whole being.
So, I tucked my tears behind my ears, the way you do your hair, and I held them there. They sat waiting for me, brimming on the edge of my eyelids, but they did not spill over. My tears are obedient that way, and there will be time.
So, I cleansed myself, taking care to clean out my navel. You know how dirt gathers there. I gave attention to each minuscule detail. I remembered my grandfather's words, a warrior's routine on the day before the hunt must be complete. And there will be time.
With my vision clear again, I set off to recover my heroes. I picked them up one by one. I found Lumumba lying sightless on his back.
Biko had been stripped of all his words.
Mekatilili restored her strength, raised her staff and began to stride.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti roared again like the lioness of Lisabi.
Mansa Musa, well, he always dazzles, no matter what the centuries throw at him.
He always dazzles, no matter what the century throws at him.
And then I gave them back to my children. Sometimes curiosity got the better of me, and I lingered. In the kingdom of Congo, I found Kimpavita.
Kimpavita, born in 1684.
Kimpavita, burnt at the stake in 1706.
The fire was deliberately set.
There are those who would burn a 22-year-old African girl at the stake.
There are those who would burn a 22-year-old African girl at the stake.
Kimpavita, I am her mother. I see her bound body standing upright.
Kimpavita, I am her father. I see her feet tied to a dry mahogany post.
Kimpavita, I am her sister. I see her hands stretched over her head.
Kimpavita, I am her brother. I see her immortal spirit soar above the hungry flames. She will not be contained.
Kimpavita, we are the bloodline. We see her eyes. They seek no mercy. Our daughter has the eyes of an angel already in paradise. She will leave no tears behind.
Kimpavita, I am your mother. Who would burn a 22-year-old daughter at the stake? Who would burn a 22-year-old daughter at the stake? What crime can a daughter commit? What crime for one so tender? No, let us turn this crime the right way up. It's been lying on its head for over 500 years.
Kimpavita, I am your father. Those who stand guilty of corruptions against history charge my daughter with a crime. What crime can a daughter commit? What crime for one so young?
Kimpavita, I am your sister. They will do it again to another father and another mother in another land.
Kimpavita, I am your brother. It is the Catholic Church. It is the colonizing Portuguese. They are guilty. Seek ye forgiveness from the bloodline of this continent. Can you hear them?
We, the multitude and the bloodline, we resurrect the voice of history. Let the centuries bear witness. Turn on the lights and open your eyes.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Kimpavita, you are guilty. Your crimes are colossal, your transgressions monumental, your ideas revolt.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. When only a teenager, you, Kimpavita, launched a movement to liberate the Kingdom of Congo from us and return it to its former glory, you led your people in silent decorum. You terrified us.
And then you led thousands of people to rebuild Mbanza, Congo, the capital of the once so-called glorious Kingdom of Congo. And once the buildings were standing, once the roads were cleared of reclaiming forests, once the fields swayed with bounty and the fireplaces were ready to nourish the body, you brought the people back. And the people stood together, brother, sister, father, mother. They became one. You terrified us.
But even these crimes fade in comparison to this, your grand infraction. Kimpavita, you are accused of attempting to show Africans they too are beloved. You make the most confounding claim. You affirmed all people are created equal before God, even Africans? Preposterous. Never, never, and again, never, not now, in this century, not ever. We were terrified.
But you were not finished. You went on to declare to all who would hear, you see black saints mingling with white saints in paradise. Black saints? How can black be associated with the word saint? That is an ecclesiastical oxymoron, a blasphemy. Even Pope Clement XI was pained and revolted at such heresy. We were terrified.
Repeat after us. All Catholics know heaven is populated only by white saints. Jesus is a white man with piercing blue eyes, and God is an old white man with a long white beard. All Christians know this even today. Repeat again 10 times. All Catholics know heaven is populated by white saints. Jesus is a white man with piercing blue eyes, and God is an old white man with a long beard. All Christians know this even today. Of course, Pope Paul VI was right to refuse the rehabilitation of Kimpavita in 1966. Kimpavita, a backward girl from a backward time. We were terrified. If you have a candle, light it now with us, won't you?
Kimpavita, born in 1684, burnt at the stake in 1706, convictions intact. Kimpavita, you are ours. We no longer await a pope to distinguish you. We reclaim you, Mother of the Rising. Take your rightful place amongst the pantheon of the singular.
Kimpa Vita, let the tears tucked away these 500 years flow. Let them go. Let your tears fortify your weary children. Let them cleanse an ancient mother.
Kimpa Vita, it is time. We are ready. It is time. We are spotless. It is time. The night air recedes. It is time. Embers of sunlight chase away the remnants of gloom. It is time. The multitudes chant in crescendo to the rhythm of a new song. It is time. The time is now. It is time. The time is now. It is time. The time is now. It is time. This piece, entitled Tears, was written in tribute to Kimpa Vita and reclaimed African history. Kimpa Vita is the mother of African revolution.
Sitawa, Kimpa Vita. Thank you for writing that piece, Sitawa.
Thank you.
Whew. Let's take a moment.
Okay.
So this is, at this point, whilst we all inhale and exhale, we get a chance to talk a little bit about what story these pieces tell and where they came from. Mekatilili, well, look at that. I think Mekatilili's spirit is also in the room. Sitawa the Third Namwlaie, I have heard this piece in its evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And the time is now. How did it come to you, this piece? What were you listening for when Kimpa Vita spoke to you?
You know, sometimes you write something and you actually don't know what happened, how it came to be. Even I'm like, where did it come from? I don't know. But it actually has a very interesting, it is interesting in that I first wrote it as a small little piece, the first few lines, the tucking behind the tears behind the ears. And then I shared it on Facebook. And I was so amazed at the response of people. I've never had I've shared, over the years, I've shared lots of pieces, but I've never had like people come and own it. Like they owned it. And then somebody said, please get it translated into French and Kiswahili. So I had it translated into French, Kiswahili, and Sheng. And then, because they wanted to use it in something. Yesterday, somebody wrote to me and asked to use it in a book he's writing from the UK. A guy called Shola. He's writing a book in the UK, and some academic book. But there were some people who said it's not finished, and so I resisted. But then in the end, I thought, okay, let me try. And this is the result. But it's also really is inspired by the work you did with Brazen, because I was so moved by what women had done and how we've forgotten what they've done, that I went doing research, and I found her. I was like, what? She was 22 years old. She did all that and more. So I want to ask you about, there's the first piece, which I really love, which is Being, which you've written through this process. And I'd like you to say a little bit about that.
Thank you, Sitawa. On Being, it's what it's called, was written was released as a Lamb letter with the Lamb Sisterhood. And it was, I say, Sitawa, this piece I've been writing, I really think for the last maybe 30 years of my life.
Wow.
I just wasn't ready yet to release it. We say that COVID will show us things, and we talk of old wounds throbbing and hurting.
Right.
When the Black Lives Matter movement gained triumph,
right,
and the conversations around racism started to come to the fold, I've been trying to understand where I sit in this world. And it is a very uncomfortable spot because, yes, my people were brought down here, often as either as indentured laborers or we came as economic migrants. At some point, Sitawa, we went from being imperial subject to imperial accomplice. We went from becoming victim to oppressor.
Right.
And I needed to understand when that happened, because it felt like if I could trace my way back to that moment, I mean, you can never unturn it, but maybe I could understand it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and the truth of the matter is that this is what's so beautiful is in my journey back in time, I discovered that actually the moment of crime is now. It's every moment. And that the only way to change it is to stop consenting to committing those crimes.
And Aleya, the interesting thing is you're saying, I am also part of the problem. I am the middle class African, then also became the enforcer of the absent oppressor's oppression. And so we're together. We're doing a very, very similar kind of work. And so it's really important that we examine this and figure out. COVID will show us things. COVID has shown us, the fragility of the systems we've created, the fact that if you take the US as a glaring, wonderful, case, it's such a wonderful case study. Thank goodness it's not us being wonderful case studies for a change. There are wonderful case studies. How do you have the so-called biggest economy in the world, and in a matter of weeks, just a few months, 40 million people are out of work? What is that? What have we done?
And I mean, I think this is, the moment that I started listening. We've been listening together really since March 15th, which is when Corona was reported to happen here. And I just kept thinking to myself, we need to be listening to what the people before us did. We need to be listening across geography and across time, and that's what I think Mekatilili and Kimpavita and all these incredible, our ancestors show us, is they show us ways that we can be, that is different.
Right. So, I mean, imagine that this Kimpavita, 22 years old when she died, when she was murdered, knew that Africans were created equal. But we've had to go and it was just last week that the head of the Anglican Church said, well, maybe we'll consider not having Jesus as a white man. And I don't think that is maybe welcomed here. I think the last few years has been these silly things where some Zungu would arrive who looks like the stereotype of what the people have come to think of Jesus, and people would be following him, pretending he's, turning him into Jesus. So we've got a lot of work to do. Exactly. Yeah. Rasna says that Jesus was a Semite, probably looked like an Arab. Yes, of course.
The thing that just gives me, yes, was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago was the Saba Saba Day, And, you know, it's so easy to fall, or at least I feel, particularly now, I'm starting to get to the age where it's easy to feel despair. And what is incredible is around the world, you have these people, and especially young people, right, who are the hopeful ones, right? They are the ones who are saying, no, this is what hope looks like in action. They're reminding us, you know? And so again, for me, it's, you know, are we ready to listen? And are we ready to listen radically, as you say, Sitawa?
Right, right. To listen radically. I love that. I encountered that idea recently, and it's such a simple idea that to listen, like if when you're telling me your story about being an Asian in Kenya, am I able to listen to you without my judgments, without my stereotypes of who I think you are, and allow your story to exist? Or do I shut you down and go, ah, it's not even important. You're not even serious. You people, you Asians are this, that, the other, right? And we do that all the time. And this has been, going back to the Black Lives Matter. It's extraordinary listening to Black people speaking all over the world. I was fortunate enough in 2016 in Egypt to meet a Black Iraqi. I mean, I was so silly because I was like, what? They're Black Iraqis, you know? So we're everywhere, and people we're all experiencing, we've all experienced terrible oppression, and yet we're here, and yet we're here, and yet we even thrive, we overcome. It's extraordinary.
I mean, as Mekatilili said, we're in a rising of consciousness.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, this moment, much like the work that led to Brazen and a lot of your work, Sitawa, the moment in which to ask, what are the ways in which we've been before?
Right.
Because, you know, I mean, my education system conspired to fill me with all kinds of ideas of how I am, and most of them are filled with self-hate. I don't really know all the wonderful ways that I've been in the past.
Right.
You know, right. And so this is the question. What are the ways we've been? What are the ways we want to be? What are the ways we can be? What are the ways we are?
Right. Absolutely. Let us, at this point, Aleya, shall we go into the exercise? Shall we go into the exercise?
Yeah,
because we want all of you to be part of this. Remember, you are co-conspirators. Yeah, we've done a little bit of the work, and now we want you to join us. I hand over to you, Aleya, because I know we agreed you're leading this.
So the line that I am just, you know, continuously stunned by. I mean, I'm stunned by all of Sitawa's work. Truly, truly, truly. I'm trying to multitask. Let me stop multitasking. Let me talk to you. Okay. So the line that I am continuously stunned with in Sitawa's work, in the Kimpa Vita piece, is let's turn this crime the right way around. It's been standing on its head for 500 years. And there is such power in articulating what that crime is, in looking at it, in naming it, in giving it language, in giving it texture, in picking it up, in turning it around, in inspecting it, and then in putting it the right way around. Right. And I think so much of the damage is done when these crimes are hidden away. And so what we'd like to invite you to do is to join in naming these crimes. What are the crimes that you can think of, that you know, that you believe need to be turned the right way around? What are the wounds that are throbbing? What are the fractures that are hurting? Feel free to plunk them into the message, into the chat bar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to pick some of them and put them onto the page and move them around and play around with them and see what happens. And then at some point, we'll invite 3 of you to come and share the stage with us and to help put that poem together and to perform it. So make yourselves comfortable again in the chat bar as I just work out the logistics of the sharing, and grab a beverage. Beverages are good. Great. Here we are. And if you have any questions also, Great. People are already adding. This is wonderful. Okay, so let me share my screen. Oh, how's everyone feeling? I should ask, how's everyone feeling? That's been it's been a heavy, it's been heavy, right? How's everyone feeling? Okay, so I can see colorism. I'm just going to plonk these down as I see them. The crimes of capitalism and genocide. And you know, they can come out the way you want them to. The Home Guard's betrayal of the Mau Mau, of racism, domination, rape of our continent. Whew. Silence, 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 sexual discrimination. And you know, we also don't have to sit in pain. We can also sit in triumph. So if you want to add something to the page that isn't pain, then please feel free to do so.
Somebody put, Aleya, somebody put homophobia.
Oh, I missed that, homophobia. Thank you.
The silence of Asian tycoons on
the rape of children. Oh, that's a lot of pain. Okay. Oh, reimagining the self. Reimagining the self. The murder of our heroes. Okay.
Criminalizing poverty.
Okay. Well, so at this point, I want to ask you, what does it look like when you take these, when you pick these crimes up and you look at them? What do they smell like to you? What do they feel like to you? What do they taste like to you? Burnt rubber. Thank you, Laura. They smell and taste of blood and tears.
The taste of blood. Tear gas.
Tear gas. It tastes like bile.
Rage. Rotten fish.
Rotten flesh. Rage. I'm trying to move as quickly as I can.
Bitter taste. And you did say that we can also do a positive one, because it's true. It's all very. After this, let's do a positive one.
Yeah, Sitawa, will you lead us to a positive? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to stop now.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask you, Boya Jahe and Romboga Kinyeji. Okay, now I want to ask you, when you turn the crimes the right way round, when you turn them, when you pick them up and you look at them and you turn them the right way round, what is that experience like? Can you describe it to me? Can you close your eyes and smell and feel and taste? What is that experience?
Reawakening. Petrichor.
I love that word.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, I love how quickly this is going. Okay, you're gonna have to be a little patient with me. Keep going. Keep going. I'm gonna catch up. Don't worry. You keep going.
Phoenix, equity.
Petrichor awakening. We are reclaiming. This is positive. Rainbows.
It feels like warm sunshine. I like that.
Oh, I love that. Every time at home in my body feels like sunlight through every window. Beautiful.
Love.
I have to leave now. Oh, bye, Jerry. Unburdening. Independence, justice, reconciliation, truth, equity, Phoenix. Oh my gosh. Phoenix. Walking on. Oh my God. Look how much beauty there is in here. Sorry, I'm taking so long.
Like the hug of a loved one.
Sunrise. I'm getting there. Keep going, beloveds. Warmth. warmth, don't stop. Like raw mangoes dipped in sugar. Oh, you're gonna make me weep. Like legit, you guys are gonna make me weep. Eye contact, Rasna, eye contact. Peace and quiet. Peace and quiet. Feels like warm sunshine. It feels like freedom, like liberation. Oh, liberation. The first taste of the most orange. Fairness, bliss.
Orange, I like that.
I can barely keep up. This is so wonderful. Love. Oh my God, this is so wonderful. Smells like dania. It does. Like sitting on the grass surrounded by love. Oh my God, I think I might cry. One with the source. Gentle rain. We are so beautiful. We are so beautiful. Get off your backside and make a difference. Okay, kindness. Okay, should I stop? I can't stop. I'm putting them all down. I'm sorry, Sitawa. What time is it? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, by the way, you can keep going. You can keep going and we'll go for another 2 minutes. And then Paco and Choco. we can go for another 2 minutes. Reconnection. Wow, this is a lot. Authenticity. Okay, like the hug of a loved one, the realization of self. So, I mean, you know, what Sitawa and I, what our process often is we talk. We talk and talk and talk. We discuss the days, what's happening, what's in the news, what's in our lives. And at some point, like hot, spicy, crunchy samosas, amen, Latifa. And it's a dizzy, glorious twerk next to every woman I love. And belonging.
Twerk next.
Holding hands, strength and stability.
You're crazy. You guys are crazy.
You guys are crazy. I'm gonna go 1 more minute and then I'm gonna stop. But but these are all here, and I promise you that I will scoop them all up. After this, I'm gonna scoop them all up and put them here, and we'll find a way to share them. You know, Sitawa and I often will chat and we'll talk, and then she'll say something that sparks something, or I'll say something that sparks something for her. Right. And before we know it, that's kind of where the kernel of a piece might be seated. Right. And that's how we write. And then we write and we share and we listen and we share and we massage and we listen and we share. And so what I'd like to invite you to do now, oh my God, these are so beautiful. Walking as a woman undisturbed. Okay. Feels like breathing, and I'm going to stop right there. Okay. What I'd like to invite you to do now is we'd like to invite 3 people up on stage with us. And what that means is that we will, wonderful Adam is going to invite you to unmute the mic and then also turn on your camera. And then you'll help us construct a poem out of these incredible, wonderful glory of words. And then maybe perform it. So if you feel like this is something you want to do, raise your hand. I really don't like the language of Zoom, but you know, I guess for now. Thank you, Jeffrey. So I think you can raise your hand on the, Adam, would you mind explaining how to raise your hand? Oh, 2 people have raised their hands, yay! So, I love how messy Zoom is. Senya and George, Karibu Sana, welcome to the stage. Amazing. That's great, thank you. And Akini, yes.
Yes, that's great.
Wonderful. Please join us. Please join us. Hi, George.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Hi, George.
Hi.
Hey, Senya.
Oh, cool. Where's Senya?
Hey, Akini.
Hi, Senya. Hi, Akini. How are you all?
Senya's still muted.
Senya's
finding a suitable place to sit.
Akini, sit wherever you're comfortable. Oh, not there. No, don't sit there. Come closer to me. So we've done this once before and it was a little messy. So we're going to try and do it. It's still going to be messy. Who are we kidding? So what we're going to do is I'm going to open a notepad. I'm going to open maybe another document. I didn't think this through. Okay, let me open a Word document. And as we go down, I want each of you, we're going to go in turn. So we'll go Akini, then we'll go George, and then we'll go Senya. I want you to just pick a line that you feel you want to add to the final page. Is that the way we should do it, Sitawa? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's two poems we're doing. There's the poem of sorrow, and then there's the poem of happiness and lightness and possibility. Yeah.
Wonderful. Can they be one and the same? What do you think? And by the way, you all can feel free to just plunk your ideas also in the chat bar.
I don't think so, because
okay.
When you get to the second part, it's like hope and happiness, and this other one is just anyway. Okay, let's try. You never know. Akini, George, and Senya, it's up to you. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
All right.
So we are in your hands. Where should we begin?
It's Akini first, then George, and then Senya. So let's go.
And then we'll do Sitawa, then me, then Akini, George. Yeah?
Okay.
If you want me to scroll down, just let me know and I'll scroll down, okay?
All right. I think the crimes of capitalism and genocide. Start with that.
Okay. Okay. George?
Thank you. Sorry, my camera's messed up.
It's okay.
Crimes of capitalism and genocide. How about the crime that we all commit to ourselves, which is blaming? If you look at all this entire list, it's all historical. How about not blaming history? Can we just change things right now? Done. Thank you.
Blaming, right? You're saying blaming?
I'm saying blaming, but I'm saying blaming and not taking responsibility for being in a situation, in a position where we know we can change our lives. Those who come after us. You don't have to keep referring to the past. Thank you.
So George, if this were a poem, if this were, say, like a line or a word, what do you think encapsulates this idea of yours?
Make the future. Remember your past.
Okay. Thank you. Senya.
Okay, Senya.
Are you muted?
Senya, can you unmute? We can't hear you.
Zoom is
Aleya,
yes.
I'm going to go ahead.
Okay.
Remake the future. Criminalizing poverty.
Okay. I'm going to go next. Senya's internet keeps saying
connection. Okay.
Criminalizing poverty. And then I'm going to say tear gas.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, Akinyi?
Sorry.
Hey,
Akinyi.
Aleya.
I know, sorry. It's so many things.
Like now we know all your business.
Okay.
The next
Akinyi?
one, criminalizing minority, tear gas, dismissing African intelligence.
It's over here.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, it's funny how it's doing this weird placement thing by itself. Can you guys see
George?
the Word document?
And George?
Yeah.
Okay. So George, you have all the whole. You see all of this. You can pick from anything from here.
I'm trying very hard to pick on the positive.
Don't overthink it.
Just pick.
Just pick. Go with your gut.
Raw mangoes dipped in sugar. That is your life. That is what you can give.
Like raw mangoes.
Like raw mangoes dipped in sugar. Give to those who come after you.
Sitawa, you go next.
Okay. The first taste of the most orange.
Yeah, that was also going to be the one I was going to pick next if I was you and you were me. Look at that.
I got it.
The first taste of the most orange. It's my go next. Radically rejuvenated. Look how it's just by itself twisting. Have you seen how the filament just twisted itself?
Exactly.
So we'll go one more round.
Akinyi?
Maybe scroll down.
Sure.
Yes, thank you. Every time I'm at home in my body, it feels like sunlight through every window.
Gorgeous. All right, George, do you want me to scroll up or down?
Let's find the line in the back. Thank you.
And by the way, everyone who's at home, you can also feel free to pick from this. This is like a communal, almost like a pantry, there's all these ingredients in here and you can pick from them and shape them as well on your own at home.
George?
I'm looking for the third line.
Okay.
Because that has movement. That's alive. Yes, a dizzy, glorious twerk next to every person I love.
Oh. Wow, why does it keep doing that? Actually, let it do what it does. Okay. Okay, Senya. Oh no, Senya's not there. Sorry. Sitawa?
Sitawa, get off your backside and make a difference.
And I know what I'm ending with. I end with love.
Okay. So can we perform it now?
Yeah, let me put it onto just one page so that it's not all over the place. There we go. Can you see it? Can everyone see?
Yes.
Thanks, Malini. I'm just gonna leave it the way. I sometimes feel that computers like to do funny things. The format's kind of interesting, so I think I'm gonna leave it. Great. Thank you, though. We need a title. Someone from the audience. Can you give us a title? I'm gonna scroll down. Just throw something into the chat bar that you think. Bora Uhai. Excellent.
Bora Uhai.
All right. This poem is entitled Bora Uhai.
And can we have Akinyi read it?
Sure. Sure.
Perform it?
Yes.
Okay, do your thing,
All
Akinyi.
right. Bora Uhai by The Collective. The crimes of capitalism and genocide remake the future, criminalizing poverty, tear gas, dismissing African intelligence like raw mangoes dipped in sugar. The first taste of the most orange, radically rejuvenated. Every time I'm at home in my body, it feels like sunlight through every window. A dizzy, glorious twerk next to every woman I love. Personal. Get off your backside and make a difference. Love.
That was wonderful. That was so wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you, George. Thank you, Akinyi.
Oh,
Thank
wow, thank you.
everyone there. That was
Thank you too. That was great.
performance, Akinyi. We're gonna make sure that we will email these to email this to everyone. And now it's time to say goodbye. Time to say goodbye, but we have a special goodbye for you. Thank you so much, Akinyi and George and Senya.
It's not a goodbye like that.
don't
It's a
leave
long
yet.
goodbye.
Oh yeah,
So
don't leave yet.
it's a long goodbye. Don't go anywhere.
You know, us Africans take a long time to say goodbye. It's not like
Exactly.
we just
So please,
stay for
don't go
another,
anywhere. Don't leave us.
stay for another 5 minutes. Imagine Sitawa, they would have left.
Exactly. Yeah. Now we know, Okay, let's hit it.
Okay. The goodbye. The number of people who died from COVID in the world is over 516,000. The number of people who've died from COVID in Kenya is 152. At one point in Kenya, the police had killed more people than COVID had, all under the guise of protecting them. COVID-19 will show us things.
Yes, COVID is still with us. And here in Nairobi, at the beginning of July, our cold season has started. And can you feel the old fractures and old injuries throbbing, whispering their warning? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? I'm still here. You know, all injuries can finish you off. It happened to my grandfather, Kuka Uluma, my mother's father. He fell off a roof he was thatching when he was in his 40s and cracked his hip. The fracture healed, or so we all thought. But one day, in the year 2000, that old injury started to kill him.
COVID-19 has shown us things.
The killing of George Floyd. The killing of George Floyd is a haunting, lingering, casually executed on camera thing. A knee on a neck, hands in pocket, and witnesses witnessing. A casual killing orchestrated to broadcast dishonor. The killing reminded me of how one kills a cockroach. You squash it. Take your time, making sure it's really dead. You know, cockroaches, even microwaves can't kill them. And George Floyd was so much bigger than Chauvin. He was a giant of a man, broad-shouldered and tall. But Chauvin had him down, lying on his stomach, handcuffed, neutralized. Chauvin must have felt like a white adventurer, conqueror of lands from 18th century Europe. Did he feel the thrill of being just like his ancestors who subjugated this land, this America, and in an unspoken genocide, eliminated 55 million people, renaming the enduring 5 million? The casual knee on neck ritual was a beacon sent out in the night to stroke the ears of true blue believers. But it is no ordinary guiding light. This one speaks in double-bladed tongues. For Black people around the world, the casual knee on neck killing spoke to, look what we can do to you. Go ahead, call your mama. She's dead. See what we can still do to you. I was triggered. I felt all my Black shame rising again like a great mist. All those words spoken and gestured in the presence of white people, they rose to choke me all the way in faraway Kenya. I too couldn't breathe. At least this time, the African Union issued a statement.
In Kenya, when Yasin Moyo was killed by a policeman's bullet on the balcony of his own home, the African Union did not speak. It is a sovereign matter. There are those who would shoot a 13-year-old son in his home. There are those who would shoot a 13-year-old son in his home. Yasin Moyo, did you hear our voices chanting out your name? Did you feel our tears washing the soil in which you are buried? Don't let their silence fool you into believing that nobody cares that you were killed. We care. Yasin Moyo, you are not forgotten. You are beloved. Yasin Moyo.
So, COVID-19 will show us things. It has shown us things. But one of the things that it's doing is that it's challenging how we care for each other, isn't it? And we, on this continent, have ways of caring for each other, which we want to give to the world.
The first person I loved who died was my Nana Bapa. We were there in the room with him when his soul released his body. My beloved Nana Bapa, who twirled his mustache between his fingers as he waited for us to answer his riddles. My beloved Nana Bapa, who went swimming at dawn every day, then came home and pressed his chilled palms first to the tip of my nose, then to my sleep-warmed cheeks, waiting for me to wake up so that we could all eat jalebi and gantia together on a Sunday morning. My beloved Nana Bapa, who I was terrified to be caught reading novels or eating chips around because his disapproval was searing. My beloved Nana Bapa, who was a sailor, a fisherman, a policeman, an accountant, a businessman, an adventurer, an intellectual, a philosopher, a husband, a father, a brother, a grandfather, lay there. We sink underwater. Shapes of people appear. When they speak, it is muffled. We inhabit different planes, but they come for dil soji, to condole from their hearts, and they bring milk and make ginger chai and lay out mismatched mugs and trays of sugar-coated nice biscuits so that others coming to condole have something to do that needs finishing before they can leave. They move furniture and lay down rugs and light incense sticks and find a photo of our beloved Nana Bapa and play dhikr on the cassette recorder that Nana Bapa loved so much. They organize themselves into lists and duties. They bring food, so much food. Dal and chicken curry and roti and pilau and kachumbari and achar, so much food for us and for all the people who would come to visit, and they sit with us and eat with us to make sure that we eat, and then they clear the table and wash the plates and shoo away people and help us into our rooms so that we collapse into our beds and silently wail. And the next day, more people come, and they grasp our hands in theirs, bent forward, look deep in our eyes, and from their hearts they offer sabr, sabr, sabr. And we respond, shukr, shukr, shukr. These rituals of care become the anchors that stop us from drifting. Sabr, to endure, persevere, have patience. And a reply with shukr, to say thank you.
And now this. Grief everywhere. Grief for what we can name, for what we don't have names for what resists being named. Grief that arrives in WhatsApp funeral announcements, entreating us to stay at home and offer prayers for the families from where we are. Grief like the smell of 60% alcohol under your fingernails that rejects being washed away, or the carpet of rubble where a pink and blue checkered itchy blanket lays abandoned. The woman who owned that blanket also left behind a neon green batter slipper when they came for her home. She ran. She's used to running. Grief with no recovery. Grief for what we've lost and what we will lose. Grief at 4:30 a.m. when the Ratki Ranis bloom, insisting on perfuming the air with forceful and selfish beauty. Grief that clings to the world like the purple-stained gauze stuck on a scab, that comforts because it quietens panic, that hides in the raging, filthy rain-swollen river at night. Grief that boils like stones in water over a hot sufria, or shrieks into midnight Facebook messages from friends. Grief that drains, that cracks, that extracts. Grief that can be shared or soothed with, that can't be shared or soothed with a hug. Grief. And now this. How do we care for each other now?
In the words we reach for when there are no words. In the space when the inhale turns into the exhale. In sabr and shukr. In sabr, we urge beautiful patience. It's what makes the grief visceral, beauty. We acknowledge that there was beauty. We acknowledge the loss. In sabr, we listen to the vacuum, the permanent absence, the closing of the throat, the intensity of the pain. In sabr, we remember there will be beauty again, that there is beauty still. In sabr, we understand the grief belongs to the griever to bear, but I am here with you. In sabr, I see you. In sabr, we chase despair. We say, don't look away. In sabr, we declare there is something on the other side of endurance. Sabr is not a return. Sabr is a moving towards an uninhabited place, an invitation to imagine that place. Sabr is hope.
In shukr, we find hope. We seek gratitude. We connect to each other. We remember ourselves. We echo that grief is important because grief means we lost something that was important to us. In shukr, we say thank you for seeing it, for caring, for reminding me there is something else awaiting. In shukr, I see you. In shukr is peace, is courage, is a beginning of healing, is a return to now. In shukr, is the anchor that stops us from drifting, swallowed.
I offer you sabr.
And I say shukr. Now we're about to say goodbye, and we'd like to thank you for being here with us. My name is Sitawa Namwlaie.
And my name is Aleya Kassam. Thank you. Thank you to Adam and the Creatives Garage for hosting us, for KPLC for sticking it out. Thank you to you, for you. The recording will be available for sharing with friends and family on Facebook, I think on Creatives Garage and on our social media. Yeah, thank you.
And again, thank you from whichever part of the world you're in. We will be back. So look out for us. You can follow Sitawa Namwlaie, me, on Facebook, and Aleya Kassam on Twitter.
And if you'd like to invest in helping us produce more of this work, you can send whatever amount that you'd like to on M-Pesa or via Buy Me a Coffee. You'll get the details on the email when you log out. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to read all the delicious love messages in the chat bar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't believe it. It's over. I can't believe it. Can we begin again? I'm so thrilled to do this with you, all of you. Thank you.
We wish you sweetest of dreams, and thank you so much. Thank you for your energy and your heart and your light.
And I also want all of you to go out there and do this. Fill the internet with our presence. This is just, opening the door for all of us. Come on, let's do this.
By the way, actually, thank you, Sitawa. The narratives are being crafted now. Let these stories not be told without us.
Yes.
Please.
So create your own stories. Let's tell our own stories. Whatever you want to say. Let's get loud. Yes, let's get loud. Fill the internet with our presence for sure. Yeah.
May ripe oranges find all of us. Yes, Karida. Mwah, mwah. Bye, everyone.
Oh, we have to go. We don't have to go yet.
Do we not? I mean, I guess people could hang about. I was trying to be very good with time. These are the stragglers, the ones who wait around for you to come out from behind the stage.
Yeah. And have a drink. You can buy me a glass of red wine. Okay.
I wish we could have a drink with each other, all of us. Oh, man. Sending you all hugs as well. Please be safe and take care.
Peter, thank you. Thank you all.
For real, Gina saying, for real, I was waiting for you guys to go. So by the way,
somebody wants to confirm the number.
The M-Pesa is Betty Muragori.
Yeah, shock of shocks.
Yeah, Sitawa Namwlaie. Her M-Pesa name is Betty Muragori. More samosas and dancing. Yes, the dance break. You must have a dance break today before you go to bed. Thank you, Madani. Love to you, Anjiku.
Thank you.
Waiting for the meeting ended by host.
Oh, Anjiku was here.
Yes. Oh, Adam, I think that's your cue. Bye, Betty. Hiya, I'm the one who wants to leave now. I'm the one who normally runs around behind the backstage and doesn't come out.
Oh, really?
Sohail says,
yeah, Sohaila, our dancing promise after the soiree, absolutely.
Hiya, host. See you at the meeting. Adam, thank you so much. Hiya, this is truly this is one of those Indian goodbyes, the ones that take like 2 hours to say goodbye.
I know. Combine Indian goodbyes with the
not ending
African
like,
whatever. We're in trouble.
I'll hang up. No, you hang up. 11 p.m. we'll be discussing palm wine. We'll be here till morning. By the way, I can slowly see dribbles and drabbles. It's only the real noisemakers who have stayed.
You know, exactly. The real noisemakers, you know, hardcore, the hardcores.
Oh my gosh, has Adam fallen asleep? Oh my God, Adam's not here. Adam has left. It is me to end the meeting.
Oh,
That's hilarious. Adam got tired. Creative's Garage is like, peace out, yo. We need to take a photo. Oh my God. You know what? Actually, can we take a photo? If anyone, I wonder if I can, anybody who'd like to come on, just raise your hand and I'll promote you to panelist and then we can take a screenshot. For reals, just raise your hand. I have the power now. Look at this. Somebody, hi. Okay, Gina. You're coming on. You're coming on. Hi, Gina.
Hey, Gina.
As I've been promoted.
Yeah, you're on. We're taking a photo. Gina is one of my oldest friends. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
I've known her since I was 6 years old, and that's her daughter, Namwlaie. Hi, Namwlaie. Mwah. Oh my gosh, hello. Hi.
Precious.
How are you?
My ear.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Peter's here.
Joining. Oh, we're going to do a whole backstage photo. This is wonderful.
Hey.
Hi, Peter. Oh, yeah. Let me unmute you.
I miss you.
Hiya. Imekata.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
That was amazing, you guys. Thank you so much. That was so
Thank
inspiring.
you.
So inspiring. I've missed you at so many levels, Sitawa.
Oh, miss you right back.
Right?
Oh.
Oh, this is so wonderful. After show mingles on the Zooms.
You
I
know?
know, right? Isn't this wonderful?
Isn't
It
it?
is, isn't it? But we don't have to get up to go and get into our cars to go anywhere, you know?
Oh.
I
And
That's
know.
what I really like.
Nyla, where are you right now? Where are you dialing in from? I'm trying to unmute you, but it's refused. Can you hear me?
Say hi.
Hi,
I can hear you now.
everybody.
Hello.
Saying where are you? Saying hi from London.
Hi from London.
Hello from Nairobi.
It's from where? London.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, how wonderful.
Cool.
Thank you for joining. This is one of those like definitely backstage photos. I hope you'll all be encouraged to write and express and just do the thing that feels good for you in the moment.
Mm.
For sure.
How you all feeling?
Good.
Good. It's
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
I am now going to say goodbye. Mwah.
Okay.
Be well, dear
I
friend.
suppose we all have to leave at some stage. Bye. So long. Farewell. Na 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 na.
No, decolonize your songs, Sitawa.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.